Hi everyone, good afternoon everyone, good Monday afternoon everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful first Monday of 2021. My name is Shakir Bartal, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the recap of the Carolina Panthers 2020 season. Carolina Panthers finished the regular season with a record of 5-11. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was a unique year with COVID going on, COVID-19, fans not allowing to attend games, or if they do, at limit capacity. Teams, including the Panthers, at certain time during the season had to close their practice facility due to COVID. OTA did not take place. Preseason did not take place. All because of COVID. And this Carolina Panthers team came in with a brand new coaching staff. Head coach Matt Rule from Baylor University. Defensive coordinator Phil Snow, also from Baylor University. Offensive coordinator Joe Brady from Louisiana State University, LSU. And Chase Blackburn was retained from the previous coaching staff, special team coordinator. So, taking that into consideration, also the Carolina Panthers realistically had a totally different roster 2020 season compared to 2019 season. Few missing players who retired or weren't on the team in 2019. Cam Newton, quarterback Cam Newton, tight end Greg Olson, and middle linebacker Luke Kuechly, just to name a few. Carolina Panthers, however, retained from the 2019 to the 2020 season Trey Boston, safety Trey Boston, linebacker Shaq Thompson, defensive passing rushing and Brian Burns, defense passing rushing and F.O. Bada, defensive tackle K1 Short. So you can see that in defense and offense they retain Cody Samuel, Tyler Moton, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Alex Armour, and Ian Thomas and Christian Maynolds. And snapper J.J. Jason, and center Matt Paradis. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this was basically a brand new team. It will take me a long time to tell you about who were new on the team, but I will just tell you a few. Tahir Whitehead, middle linebacker. Stephen Weatherly, defense passing rushing end. Also the Carolina Panthers, Troy Pride, drafted cornerback. Defensive tackle, drafted Derek Brown. Defense / free safety / middle linebacker, left linebacker Jeremy Chain. Also Sam Franklin, undrafted safety. And I can go on and on. The Panthers also retained from the 2019 season Jermaine Carter, Mike Davis, and Con Elder and Dante Jackson. So overall, a relatively young team. And a team also, especially on defense, ladies and gentlemen, lack of experience. Lack of experience in defense. Not true leadership per se. The only veteran, if you want to say quote unquote, on the defense was Shaq Thompson and Trey Boston. But neither of them are what you would call veterans players. In my opinion, a veteran player, ladies and gentlemen, someone who's been in the league for at least 6 years or more. Neither player has been in the league for 6 years or more. The same applies for the offense. Brand new offense led by free agent signing the offseason quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. And the result, ladies and gentlemen, as the record indicate, 5-11, mixed bag. Defense, at times, they looked really bad. Against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, week 2 of the season, they didn't look good. They didn't look good against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially in the second half later on in the season at home, in Bank of America Stadium. But then, ladies and gentlemen, they looked outstanding against the Super Bowl champ Kansas City Chiefs. They looked outstanding. I'm talking about the defense, second half, against NFC Super Bowl contender. Probably will come out of the NFC this year representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, Green Bay Packers. Second half, Carolina Panthers played outstanding defense. They looked pretty good at times against the Washington football team, who made the playoff, winning the NFC East championship. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to build on. There's definitely a lot to build on if you're the Carolina Panthers. Of course, there is correction to be made. But realistically, I know the record is 5-11, and that is not something you necessarily want to be excited about. But considering all the circumstances that took place this offseason, this season, no OTA, no preseason, brand new coaching staff, basically brand new team, to speak of, 5-11 is not a bad result, honestly, considering that the Panthers beat some good teams, especially in the Washington football team. So it's not a bad season, and for most part, outside of two games, ladies and gentlemen, this season, the Carolina Panthers lost by 8 points or less. The three games, that they lost by bigger margin than 8 points were to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a very good team who's trying to win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they will make it to the Super Bowl, but only time will tell. And they got blown out last night, week 17, regular season, nothing to play for, against the New Orleans Saints. Outside of those three games, the Carolina Panthers lost by 8 points or less. That, my friend, is something that, as a Panthers fan, you should be very excited about. In considering this was a very young defense, extremely young defense, ladies and gentlemen. So they can only improve, ladies and gentlemen. They can only improve and get better. With OTA, with preseason, this defense should be very good next season. And now this is if they upgrade at linebacker, they upgrade at defensive end, and they make sure to retain Russell Douglas, cornerback, free agent signing. They make sure to retain him on defense. You must retain Russell Douglas. He's a great cornerback. He's very underrated in my opinion. Dante Jackson, Russell Douglas make a pretty good 1-2 combo. Combined with Troy Pride Jr., and you have three pretty good cornerback in the NFL to stop outstanding receiver group, which in the NFC South, you have them. You have them in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rod Brodkowski, who is tight end, but mostly line up as a wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have Julio Jones, you have Calvin Ridley, Aiden Hurst for the Falcons. You have Jared Cook, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Alvin Kamara, who can also play wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Bottom line, you need pretty good cornerbacks, at least 3, to get the job done. The Carolina Panthers will have 3 cornerbacks. Pretty good cornerback if they can retain Russell Douglas. It's a must on the defense. They also must, ladies and gentlemen, upgrade at linebacker. Now, we knew coming to the season that the Panthers did not have a replacement for Luke Kuechly. And ladies and gentlemen, it's mission impossible to replace a Hall of Famer linebacker in free agency. It's nearly impossible. I mean, sure, it would have been great if the Carolina Panthers could have drafted Fred Warner. It would have been great. They did not. It would have been great if they could have drafted Patrick Quinn. They did not. So, instead, the Carolina Panthers signed Tahir Whitehead. Tahir Whitehead, I'm sure, is a pretty good, outstanding human being. But he's nowhere the play calendar is Luke Kuechly. There are very few Luke Kuechly out there. Jeremy Chain at times show flash of potentially being Luke Kuechly, and the sky is only the limit for him. But Jeremy Chain is more of a safety, ladies and gentlemen, than a linebacker. Sure, you can send him on blitz package. That is great, but he's more of a safety than a linebacker. So you need to find a middle linebacker, whether it's through the draft or whether it's through free agency. You need to find another linebacker to replace Whitehead. You have Jermaine Carter, who played pretty well. In my opinion, he can be a starter in the NFL. You have Shaq Thompson, who at times played outstanding, at other times he was average at best. So you really need a middle linebacker, because in my opinion, Jermaine Carter is more fit for the right hand side of the field as far as linebacker go. However, if you can find a better right linebacker in free agency, then by all means move and keep Jermaine Carter at middle linebacker. You can get the job over there. The defense needs to also find a replacement for Stephen Waterley, who didn't live up to his production contract that he signed. I realize it's not a big contract that he signed in free agency, but still, ladies and gentlemen, to not have any sack is unacceptable. 0 is not acceptable. The Panthers do have potential in Yair Gross-Matos, who finished the season with 3.5 sacks. Rookie. They do have potential in him. That he's going to be a pretty good player and a good rusher. You already have Brian Burns, who is an outstanding rusher. You have F.L. Bado finish the season with 5 sacks. Career high for him. And he's a pretty good player, ladies and gentlemen. At the moment, he's scheduled to be a restricted free agent, meaning a team can offer him an offer sheet. The Carolina Panthers can match it, or they can decline it. Only time will tell what the Carolina Panthers will do, but I sure hope that the Carolina Panthers will retain Efe Obada, who is not only an outstanding player, but more importantly, is an outstanding human being off the field. You need to have great characters, great human beings in the locker room. You have that in Efe Obada. So, also the Panthers have to do something with K1 Short. 2 years in a row, unfortunately, he injured his shoulder. His contract is too high in my opinion. And you have to do something about it. Restructure the deal if you want to keep him, so it will make sense for you financially. Otherwise, past the June deadline, you have to cut him. You have no choice. You have to move on. You have a good defensive tackle in Derek Brown. You have Zach Cole. You have Brevin Roy, the rookie defensive tackle who showed flashes during the season. You do have replacement for K1 Short, especially if his contract is not restricted, to make sense for the Carolina Panthers. You already have the piece, ladies and gentlemen, on defense to be pretty good, and Brian Burns, who should have been a Pro Bowler, no question about it. Pro Bowl snub, that is for sure. You have Jeremy Chain, you have Derek Brown, you have Shaq Thompson, Trey Boston, Sam Franklin, Jermaine Cardell, but you need to find other pieces. You need to find other pieces. You have to retain Efe Obada, you have Dante Jackson, you need to retain Rasul Douglas, but you need to find other pieces to be a great defense. Offense, that, my friend, is the disappointing part as far as I go. Sure, Christian McCaffrey only played in 2 games this season, but honestly, coming to the season, we all about how great Joe Brady is, how great of an offensive coordinator Joe Brady is. At times, the offense was mediocre. At times, the play calling wasn't good. Some of it you can put on the players, and quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, who didn't live up to his contract with the Carolina Panthers. That is areas that the Carolina Panthers have to address in the free agency or in the draft. Draft a quarterback who can replace Teddy Bridgewater. The Carolina Panthers have to retain Mike Davis. They have to keep Cody Samuel and Tyler Moton. And I'm not the cap expert, ladies and gentlemen. That is not my job. That is the job of the Carolina Panthers to figure how they can keep those players and build around. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this team is not so far away from making it to the playoff. They're really not. With a full OTA, with full training camp, not virtual, but meeting face to face, with preseason, with few moves in the offseason on offense and defense. The Carolina Panthers in 2021 should at the very least win 9 to 10 games. Take in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that at the moment the NFL considering having 17 games next season. 17 regular season games. So to win 9 to 10 games in the NFC for the Carolina Panthers, that, my friend, is doable. Anything above that, it's a cherry on top of the cake. Anything below that, it's going to be very disappointing. Now, I will leave you this, ladies and gentlemen. This is all subject to change. You have injuries, you're losing players in free agency, you don't draft the right players, you reach for a player that you shouldn't do so, and all of a sudden, from being a playoff team, you're looking at one of the worst teams in the NFL. So it's all about scouting. It's all about avoiding injuries. It's all about practice, 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 because it's important to practice. If the Carolina Panthers can do that, they can make the playoffs in 2021.